Hi there. I'm coming to you from a surprisingly sunny for March, Port Orchard, Washington, where we're going to be talking about the Starlink Performance Kit Generation 3. I'm on board my boat Aruna, and I've been using this Starlink for the last 9 months and have some observations both from my boat and customer installs of how it's done well and how it's had some challenges. So we're going to jump into those here fairly shortly. If you remember back in June, Starlink came out with the Starlink Performance Kit, and I did an unboxing article and video, which you can find linked in the video description. This video will also have a companion article that will have more information in it, as well as links to other information so that you can figure out whether the Starlink Performance Kit is right for you. I also did some power testing because that was one of the things we were very interested in with this dish back in June of last year as well. So if you don't remember or know what the Starlink Performance Kit Generation 3 benefit would be for a boat, it's twofold. One, the power supply has both AC and DC power options. And for boats, it's great to be able to power something like this via DC. Most of the previous Starlink dishes, the only way to get them to power off of DC were to use third-party accessories or cut cables and do things like that. This is the first dish that Starlink has provided that allows you to run it directly off of a DC power source. So that's definitely nice. The second thing that is a big motivator for people choosing the Starlink Performance Kit Gen 3 is the dish itself. So it is in a big aluminum shell with anodization on it to keep it from rusting. It also has a really good waterproof cable connection, which the previous dishes did not have. So you can find out more about the benefits if you go into the unboxing video and article. We're going to dive into what has worked and what has not worked over the last 9 months. So let's get started. So one of the best parts about the entire Starlink Performance Kit is the advanced power supply, which you see mounted here on a wall upstairs in my flybridge. And I'm powering it via DC power, which is this cable over here. And then this goes out via Ethernet to my Peplink router. And this is the cable that goes to the dish. So it's a pretty slick setup. It's got a really nice mounting bracket with a couple of set screws in the bottom that you can twist and pop it off. And it's worked really well. It doesn't draw a lot of power, which you'll see a little bit later in the video. The one negative is that Starlink said that there would be more statistics and information that you could get out of this power supply, and that has not come to be. There's no information or details on any of that, which would be nice so that we could see maybe input voltage and things like that and monitor it. But the power supply is definitely one of the best parts of this entire setup, mainly because of the DC power coming in, run it right off the battery bank. But also, I don't need an extra router or any other adapters or anything like that. Dish plugs directly in, Ethernet right out to my router, and DC power directly in. So one of the challenges that Starlink had with the Performance Kit was the advanced power supply. A few months ago, we all got an email that said the cabling could potentially leak. So they shipped us out new versions of the cables. These are the DC cables. The one on the right is the original. The one on the left is the new one. And I cannot, for the life of me, see a difference. They appear to be about the same size, if not identical, in terms of what you would think might have been the problem, right? These little rubber flanges that provide the waterproofing. Maybe it's the way it's pressed together. You can see kind of a seam there that's smaller than the seam on the old one. So this is the old one, that's the new one. I don't know what the difference is, but they sent us out all new cables, and there are some theories that that is why you can't order the advanced power supply, because they had to kind of stop shipping it and deal with this issue. They did also include a new AC cable as well. So that was a little learning curve for them, but they at least admitted it and shipped new cabling at no cost. So it's great that they did that, but curious what the original real problem was. One of the things I've been pretty happy with is the power usage of this dish, which you can see within the Starlink app. And it's averaged around 34 to 36 watts for months on end. It does go higher when you're using it more, which we'll see here in a minute when I do a speed test. But it's been pretty stable between 34 and 36 watts as an average, which, given that I'm getting always on internet no matter where I am, is an acceptable amount. And I am running this off of DC power, which I prefer, because that way it continues to work even if I have an AC inverter power failure. And it's more efficient to do it directly off of DC power than it is to have it be off of an inverter, which has losses of its own. So, speed wise, I've been very pleased. This one is faster than the standard no matter where I am. It may not be fast here. I've noticed it's been very busy lately, and I've not been able to get above around 200 megabits here. I would expect to get 250 to 300 megabits with this dish, and then anywhere between 15 and 20 megabits upload. So it does look like we're getting pretty close on the upload there, but it's still not to the maximums that I've seen elsewhere. It obviously greatly depends on your location. For the plan I have the Roam plan. That means I'm the absolute bottom of the barrel when it comes to traffic prioritization. And you can see here, I'm only getting about 100 megabits. So there are quite a few more people, it seems, that have Starlink nearby here. Perhaps it's in the marina, or perhaps it's just locally in Port Orchard. Not sure. I was in a different location a few days ago, and I was seeing excellent, above 200 megabits download and 20 megabits upload. So that's been my experience. This is obviously not the greatest spot to do that from. And then if you go take a look at the statistics on power draw, you will see some spikes there, and that's from me doing the testing. So if we get rid of the iPhone here, I also still always use the Starlink with a Peplink router, and the reason for that is redundancy. I'm connected to a Marina Wi-Fi here, but I also have a Google and Verizon SIM. There's always outages no matter what provider you choose, and since I need to be connected all the time, I want to have that ability and make sure that I can do that no matter where I am. So I still recommend for customers that having some sort of redundancy, it doesn't have to be a Peplink, it can be another router with a secondary port or something else on it, is always good if you're that dependent on the internet. So. Here we are outside with the Starlink, and I have mine creatively mounted because things move around a lot on Aruna while I'm testing. And you can see the aluminum anodization. It's held up fine in the last 9 months. You can see the wedge mount. Normally this would be supported by a surface that's underneath of it, but and then you can see the little cheap plastic doors, which I'm not a fan of. I think for the price you should get something a little nicer. And you can also see the marine grade connector up in there. I love that connector because it's waterproof, it's easy, it's hard to mess up, but I also hate it because it's quite large and there is no field installable connector. So if you cut that off, you've got a lot of little wires you got to connect together, which I have not done, and I hope that Starlink comes out with that. They said they would. So in general, I like it because it is a lot more marine grade than any of the other models. I'm not a huge fan of this mount. It's pretty heavy. I'll put the weight up on the screen here. And you have to connect it to the dish when you're installing it, so then you have to move this whole entire unit basically as one piece while you're installing it, and it's pretty heavy. And then these little janky doors, right? I already said I don't like those, and that's where you have to screw it down with whatever method you're going to use. So I mean, it's the best that's out there from Starlink for a boat in terms of the size and the features, but it's definitely not perfect. It's a lot better than the previous ones. So there you go, from a nice sunny Port Orchard with the Carlisle 2 hanging out back there. So that's my take on using the Starlink Gen 3 Performance Kit for the last 9 months aboard Aruna. It's worked extremely well. I've had no failures. I like the aluminum and the marine grade quality of that. I do like the connector and the cable. It's a very solid and waterproof connection, but I also hate the end of that cable. It's quite large, and in multiple installs that I've done has required quite a big hole. There's no field installable connector for it yet. We've been waiting for that. It was supposed to be out the tail end of 2025, and we still haven't seen it. So, I also don't particularly care for the wedge mount. It's okay, but it's kind of heavy, and the plastic doors are a little irritating. But it's fine. There's other mounts available out there too if you want to look at third parties, or pole mounts that are from Starlink if that works for your setup. In terms of whether I'd buy it again, absolutely. It, like I said, has been flawless. I need always on internet, and I like that it's marine grade. There are other options, of course. You've got the Starlink Mini and the standard Starlink. And just like picking an anchor or which engine is best, everyone has an opinion on it. When I work with customers, I usually try to understand their budgets and how they're using the products, and how they're using the internet in particular. And that can help. If you're only using your boat a couple of months out of the year and you want to take the Starlink elsewhere, the Starlink Mini might be a better choice than this. If you're out a lot longer, or if you're out in worse conditions, or you want a really nice marine grade setup, then this might be the choice. But that really depends on your use case. So if you liked the video, please subscribe, check out the articles on my website, sign up for the free newsletter, and thanks for watching.